Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like no matter how hard you try, something invisible keeps pulling you back? You set goals, you get inspired, you even take action for a while, but then boom, you hit that same wall again. You tell yourself, maybe I'm not ready, maybe I'm not good enough, or worse, maybe success just isn't for me. But what if I told you the thing holding you back isn't out there? It's not your boss, it's not the economy, it's not your past, it's in here, your mind. Because the truth is, every one of us is fighting battles that no one else can see. Not with the world, but with the stories we tell ourselves. Stories like, I'll do it when I'm ready. I can't because I failed before. I don't have what they have. These stories are the mental barriers that quietly destroy dreams. They rob you of your potential, your confidence, your destiny, and you don't even realize it's happening. But here's the good news, you have the power to break them. Not tomorrow, not someday. Now, because until you break these 7 mental barriers, you'll keep living below what you're truly capable of. But once you do, once you shatter those invisible walls, life opens up in ways you never imagined. So if you've ever felt stuck, if you've ever wondered why success feels just out of reach, stay with me. Because in the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal the 7 mental barriers that are secretly blocking your success and how to break every single one of them. When you do, you'll stop surviving and start living like the person you were born to be. You know what's fascinating? Most people think their life is controlled by what's happening around them. They blame the economy. They blame their past. They blame their parents, their boss, their partner, their circumstances. But here's the truth. Most never realize it's not the outside world that's controlling your life. It's the inside world. Your mindset is the invisible force shaping everything you experience. It's like a pair of glasses. If you're wearing the wrong lens, it doesn't matter what opportunities come your way, you'll never see them clearly. You'll misinterpret them. You'll sabotage them. You'll think the world is unfair when in reality, it's your perception that's unfair. I've met people who had everything going against them. No money, no connections, no education. And yet they found a way to win. I've also seen people who had every possible advantage and still found a way to lose. What's the difference? It's mindset. The difference is that one person looked at life and said, I'm a victim. The other said, responsible. See, when you believe the world is happening to you, you feel powerless. You wait for something or someone to change before you can feel happy, confident, or free. The moment you flip that belief, the moment you decide the world is happening for you, everything changes. Because now every challenge becomes a lesson. Every obstacle becomes a stepping stone. Every setback becomes preparation for your next breakthrough. You've got to understand your thoughts are not just random words in your head. They are instructions to your brain. If you tell yourself, I'm not good enough, your brain says, okay, let's find proof. And it will find it everywhere. If you tell yourself, I always screw things up, guess what? You'll find ways to live that story again and again. But if you tell yourself, I can figure this out, or every problem has a solution. Your brain starts looking for new possibilities, new paths, new strength. You literally change your biochemistry when you change your belief. I know what you might be thinking, but I've tried changing my mindset before. Let me tell you something. Most people don't fail because they can't change. They fail because they don't condition themselves to stay in a new state long enough for it to stick. Change isn't an event. It's a habit. You don't lift weights once and expect muscles to stay. You've got to train your mind the same way you train your body every single day. So many people live in what I call the invisible prison. They don't even know they're locked up because the bars aren't made of steel. They're made of limiting beliefs. I can't do that. I'm too old. It's too late. I don't have the resources. Every time you repeat those words, you tighten the chains around your potential. And the crazy part, the key is already in your hand. You've just forgotten how to use it. The key is awareness. The moment you become aware of your own mental patterns, you start to break their power. You begin to notice, wait, I've been telling myself this story for years. What if it's not true? That's the moment of liberation. When you stop living on autopilot and start taking conscious control of your thoughts. You want to change your life. Don't start with your environment. Don't start with your job, your relationship, or your bank account. Start with your focus. Because whatever you focus on, you feel. And whatever you feel consistently, you become. Focus on what's missing and you'll feel lack. Focus on what's possible and you'll feel empowered. Focus on growth and you'll find a way to grow no matter what. Let me give you a simple truth. Your mind can either be your best friend or your worst enemy. If you let fear, doubt, and negativity run wild in your head, it will poison your energy, your confidence, your vision. If you train it, if you discipline your focus, feed it powerful beliefs, and direct it toward what you want, your mind becomes your greatest weapon. It all starts with a decision, a moment where you draw a line in the sand and say, enough. I'm not letting my past define my future. I'm not letting my fears dictate my destiny. I'm taking back control. And that decision, that moment of truth, is where transformation begins. You see, success doesn't start with strategy. It starts with psychology, because if you don't believe you deserve it, if you don't think it's possible for you, no strategy in the world will help you. But if your mindset is right, if you've decided to own your power, to take responsibility for your results, and to see every challenge as fuel. There's nothing that can stop you. And I want you to feel this, because this isn't theory, this is life. You could wake up tomorrow in the same house, the same job, the same situation, but if you wake up with a new mindset, you're living in a completely different world, because nothing changes until you do. So before we go any further, make this commitment from this moment forward. I'm going to take full control of the meaning I give to my life. I'm going to stop saying, why me? And start saying, what can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? Because when you master your mindset, you master your life. The walls that hold you back are not real. They exist only in your mind. And the moment you decide to see beyond them, that's the moment you become free. Let's talk about fear. Not the kind that disappears when you close your eyes. The kind that sits in the back of your mind whispering, what if you fail? That voice is quiet at first, almost polite, but over time it grows louder and louder until it becomes the only thing you hear. And before you know it, it's controlling your life. That fear, that one little voice, it's the single greatest reason why so many dreams die before they're even born. Here's the reality. Every person you admire, every person you call successful has faced failure, not just little failures. Big, crushing, public failures. The difference between them and the ones who never try isn't luck. It's mindset. The difference is that they've learned to see failure as feedback, as information, fuel, while most people see it as the end of the road. Think about the last time you didn't go after something you wanted. Maybe it was starting a business, asking for a promotion, telling someone how you feel, or simply trying something new. Why didn't you go for it? Chances are it wasn't lack of skill. It wasn't lack of desire. It was the fear of what could happen if you failed. And here's the kicker. That fear is completely imaginary. You haven't failed yet? Your mind is already convincing you that you will. And fear is sneaky. It doesn't just whisper, you might fail. It also says, what if people judge you? Or what if you embarrass yourself? Suddenly, your mind is a courtroom. You are both the accused and the judge, sentencing yourself to a life of safety and mediocrity. And the strangest part, the world doesn't care about your fear. It moves on, leaving you trapped in a cage of your own making. But here's the truth. Failure isn't something to be avoided. It's something to be embraced. Failure is proof that you're trying, proof that you're growing, proof that you're moving towards something meaningful. Every setback is a stepping stone if you're willing to learn. Every mistake is an opportunity to refine, to adapt, to become stronger. Yet most people run from it as if it's poison, never realizing that fear of failure is itself the real poison. It's what keeps them from tasting the victory they could have. You want to succeed, you've got to redefine failure. Stop calling it failure and start calling it data. Stop letting it frighten you and start letting it teach you. Because every great achievement in history was preceded by countless failures. Every innovation, every invention, every breakthrough was born out of repeated attempts that didn't work. The people who succeeded didn't stop at the first no, the first rejection, the first mistake. They kept going until their vision became undeniable. Most people don't understand that failure is not the opposite of success. It's a requirement for success. You can't have the one without the other. And yet, society teaches us the opposite. We're told to be careful, to stay safe, to avoid mistakes. That's why so many people settle for a life that is comfortable but small, comfortable but unfulfilled, comfortable but mediocre. Fear doesn't just stop action, it stops growth. It convinces you to settle, to shrink, to hide. The irony is that the things we fear the most, the rejection, the embarrassment, the what if, they often turn out to be the very things that propel us forward once we face them. Every time you push past fear, every time you step into the unknown, you stretch yourself. You expand your capacity. You build resilience. And the more you do it, the less fear controls you until eventually fear becomes nothing more than a shadow behind you. Here's the moment most people miss. Courage isn't the absence of fear. Courage is taking action in spite of fear. Courage is moving forward even when your heart is pounding, even when your mind is screaming, even when the odds seem impossible. Every bold decision you've ever admired in someone else began with fear. The difference is that they didn't let it stop them. So ask yourself, what have you let fear keep you from? What opportunity have you ignored because you were too afraid to try? Dream have you buried because failure seemed too painful? The truth is, the only real failure is not trying. The only real failure is letting fear decide your life for you. Everything else, every setback, every mistake, every stumble is part of the process. And here's what I want you to feel deep in your bones. The moment you stop running from failure, the moment you decide that trying is better than waiting, that moment your life changes forever. You'll start taking risks you never thought possible. You'll discover strength you never knew existed. You'll start creating opportunities instead of waiting for them. Fear is a natural part of the journey. It's inevitable. Letting it dominate your decisions is optional. You can choose to face it, to harness it, to use it as a compass pointing toward growth. Every step you take in spite of fear multiplies your confidence, your courage, and your potential. And the truth is, nothing worth achieving ever comes without facing fear head on. So today, decide that fear will no longer be the jailer of your dreams. Decide that failure will no longer be the enemy, but the teacher. Decide that you are willing to risk, to stumble, to fall, to rise stronger than ever before. Because the moment you embrace fear, the moment you see failure as a stepping stone, the moment you take action anyway, That is the moment your dreams stop being distant and start becoming real. Fear of failure dies the instant you decide that trying is more important than avoiding. One of the most dangerous illusions we live under is the idea that comfort equals safety. People spend their entire lives chasing comfort, thinking that if they can just make things easy, life will be good. And on the surface, it seems logical. After all, who doesn't want a life without stress, without struggle, without uncertainty? But here's the hard truth. Comfort is the enemy of growth. Comfort is the silent killer of potential. Think about it. Every breakthrough in history, every success story you've ever admired happened because someone stepped into the unknown. Every moment of greatness begins where comfort ends. Yet most people spend their lives inside the bubble of safe enough. They settle for a job that doesn't excite them, a relationship that doesn't inspire them, and a routine that doesn't challenge them. They trade their potential for temporary ease, and in the process, they shrink their own possibilities. Here's the thing, your brain craves comfort. It's wired to avoid pain and seek pleasure. That's natural. The problem is that your comfort zone doesn't know the difference between safe and limiting. It only knows routine, and routine kills dreams. Every time you stick to what's familiar, every time you avoid discomfort, you shrink your capacity for success. You shrink your confidence. You shrink your vision. And you don't even realize it's happening because comfort feels good in the moment. But life isn't meant to be comfortable. Life is meant to be lived fully. The moment you realize that, everything changes. The moment you accept that growth requires discomfort, that success requires risk, that your potential lives outside the bubble of safety, that's the moment you start living instead of existing. Let me ask you something. Think about a time when you learned something truly valuable. Was it easy? Did it happen while you were sitting on the couch, scrolling through social media? Or did it happen when you were challenged, stretched, forced to figure something out you didn't know before? Every time you've grown, it's been uncomfortable. Every time you've changed, it's been hard. Every time you've succeeded, it's been scary. That's not a coincidence. That's the rule of life. And yet most people resist. They resist because fear shows up in a different costume inside the comfort zone. It doesn't scream danger. It whispers, that's too risky. If it doesn't work out, what if you fail? So they stay in their familiar patterns, convincing themselves they're being smart. But here's the truth. Being comfortable is easy. Being extraordinary is hard. Being remembered, being impactful, being unstoppable, that takes courage, that takes risk, that takes stepping out into the unknown. Every time you push yourself beyond what feels safe, you expand your capacity. You start to see possibilities you never saw before. You start to realize that what you feared was never as big as your imagination made it. You start to discover strength inside you that you didn't know existed. And with each step outside the comfort zone, your confidence grows, your skills multiply, your mindset shifts. You begin to operate on a higher level where other people are still stuck playing it safe. And here's the most powerful secret. Comfort is a trap because it disguises itself as peace. It tells you you're fine. Don't push too hard. But that peace is an illusion. It's a quiet frustration you ignore every day, the gnawing sense that there's more you could do, more you could be, more you could have. If only you were willing to step into discomfort. That's the cost of staying safe. Regret. That's the price of living small. Every day you stay in your comfort zone, your dreams wait. Every day you shrink instead of expand, life whispers, you could have done more. Here's the reality. Growth and comfort cannot coexist. They are opposites. You cannot reach your highest potential without pushing yourself beyond what feels easy. You cannot become the person you dream of being without facing uncertainty, stretching your abilities, risking failure. Every time you lean into discomfort, you build courage. Every time you take a step outside your safe bubble, you prove to yourself that fear does not control you. And the cumulative effect of this is unstoppable momentum. It's not just about doing big, dramatic things. It's about the small, consistent choices, showing up when you don't feel like it, speaking up when it's easier to stay quiet, trying something new when it would be simpler to stick with what you know. Every small act of courage compounds over time. Every choice to push beyond comfort sets you up for a life that's bigger than your imagination. The people who achieve extraordinary results are not extraordinary because they're lucky. They're extraordinary because they refuse to live a life constrained by comfort. They learned that the edge of discomfort is where transformation happens. Dreams are realized and where true freedom lives. So the question you need to ask yourself is simple. Are you living for comfort or are you living for growth? Are you shrinking to stay safe? Are you stretching to become the person you were born to be? Every moment you choose safety over challenge, you trade your potential for ease. And every moment you choose courage over comfort, you step closer to the life you've always imagined. Comfort is a beautiful lie, and the moment you reject it, your life truly begins. We all have a story we tell ourselves about who we are, a story that has been running in the background since we were kids, sometimes repeated so often that we forget it's just a story, not reality. It might sound like I'm not good enough, or I'll never be successful, or I'm just not the kind of person who can do that. And the funny thing is, we treat these stories as fact. We live our entire lives under their weight, thinking that they define what's possible for us, but they don't. Not unless we let them. Think about it. How many times have you held yourself back because of a story you told yourself? Maybe it's the story that you're too old, too young, too inexperienced, or too unqualified. Maybe it's the story that life is just hard for people like you, that the world isn't fair, that opportunities are meant for others but not for you. These stories are powerful because they sound convincing, and over time, they create invisible barriers that keep you small, stuck, and frustrated. Here's the truth. These stories are not reality. They are interpretations. They are habits of thought, learned patterns, often lies that your mind has been repeating to keep you safe. And the irony is that what your mind thinks is safe is usually the exact thing that's holding you back from greatness. Every time you say, I can't, your brain starts working to prove it. Every time you say, I'm not ready, your energy, your focus, and your actions align with that story, and your results confirm it. You become the character in your own limiting narrative. The problem is that most people never question these stories. They assume they are truth. They don't stop to ask, is this really true? Or is this just a story I've been telling myself for years? And because they never question it, they continue to live inside it. They continue to play small, to settle, to compromise their dreams. But the moment you question the story, the moment you recognize that it's just a story and not reality, something shifts. Open a door that has been closed your whole life. And here's what's so exciting. You have the power to rewrite your story at any time. You can decide who you are, what you're capable of, and what your life can be. You can take that old limiting narrative and replace it with one that empowers you, one that fuels action, one that drives results. Instead of saying, I can't do that, you start saying, I can figure it out. Instead of saying, I'm not enough, you say, more than enough, and I'm ready to grow. The words you choose create the reality you live in, because your mind doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. It only knows what you tell it consistently. The people who achieve extraordinary results are the people who have rewritten their story. They've taken what once held them back, the fear, the doubt, the self-criticism, and turned it into fuel. They've taken their past failures, limitations, their setbacks, and told themselves a new story, one of strength, resilience, courage, and possibility. And here's the thing, they didn't wait for anyone else to give them permission. They didn't wait for circumstances to be perfect. They wrote it for themselves, and then they acted in alignment with it every single day. Most people underestimate how much power there is in a story. A story shapes your identity, your decisions, your confidence, and your actions. If your story is small, your life will be small. If your story is limiting, your potential will be limited. But if your story is empowering, your life will expand in ways you never thought possible. And the best part, you can start this process right now. You can catch yourself the next time that voice in your head says, I can't. You can pause, question it, and replace it with a story that serves you instead of limits you. And don't confuse this with empty positivity. This isn't about lying to yourself or pretending life is perfect. It's about telling yourself the truth of what's possible. It's about refusing to let fear, failure, or the past define your future. It's about consciously choosing a story that gives you strength, motivation, and clarity to move forward, even when it's hard. Every time you step into a new challenge, a new opportunity, a new dream, your mind will try to pull you back into the old story. That's normal. That's part of the process. But the moment you decide, I am not that story anymore, you break free from the invisible chains that have been holding you down. You step into a new identity. And when you do that consistently, when you align your actions with this new story, the results you've been dreaming of suddenly start to appear. So here's the reality. Only thing standing between you and your next level of success is the story you've been telling yourself. You can choose to keep telling it, or you can choose to rewrite it. You can choose to let it limit you, or you can choose to let it propel you. You can stay small, or you can step into the version of yourself that is bold, capable, and unstoppable. Change your story and your life changes instantly. Let's be honest. Most people live their lives trying to get someone else's approval. We crave it. We chase it. We structure our choices around what others will think. And it's exhausting. Every decision, every action, every thought is filtered through the lens of, will they like me? Will they approve? I fit in. But here's the harsh truth. The moment you give other people the power to define your worth, you give them the power to control your life. Think about it. How many opportunities have you let slip by because you were worried about what someone else might think? How many times have you held back your opinion, ignored your ideas, or stayed silent because you feared judgment? How many dreams have stayed in the shadows because you were too busy trying to be acceptable, liked, or understood? We trade our own freedom, creativity, and potential for a fleeting sense of acceptance. That's the invisible trap most people live inside every single day. Approval is seductive because it feels safe. It makes us feel included, accepted, and okay. And we confuse that feeling with validation, with significance, with meaning. The truth is, no matter how much approval you get from others, it will never fill the emptiness of not living your own life. It's temporary, fragile, and dependent on people who don't actually know your potential. And the longer you chase it, further you move from the person you are meant to be. Here's the reality: the world is full of opinions. Some of them are supportive, some are critical, some are indifferent. But none of them define you. None of them define your value. Your worth is not determined by likes, comments, applause, or approval. Your worth is inherent. It comes from within. And the moment you start living for external validation, you are giving away your power, your freedom, your ability to create the life you truly desire. Think about the people you admire most. The ones who made a difference, who achieved greatness, who inspired millions. They weren't successful because they were liked by everyone. Successful because they followed their own vision, took their own risks, and acted with integrity to their own purpose. And along the way, yes, they faced criticism, rejection, and doubt. But none of it stopped them, because their drive wasn't to be approved of. It was to be authentic, to create impact, and to live aligned with who they were. And here's the moment most people missed approval as a trap, because it conditions you to shrink. Every time you adjust your choices to make someone else happy, you compromise your own growth. Every time you avoid conflict to be liked, you sacrifice your potential. Every time you say yes to what feels safe and acceptable instead of yes to what feels gold and true, you trade greatness for comfort. And over time, that pattern becomes your life. You start believing that pleasing others is more important than fulfilling yourself. And that's the biggest barrier to success most people will ever face. The solution is simple, but not easy. You have to stop seeking approval. You have to stop living for someone else's expectations. You have to start living for your own standards, your own purpose, your own values. That doesn't mean being arrogant or disrespectful. It doesn't mean ignoring others completely. It means making decisions based on what's right for you, what serves your growth, and what aligns with the life you're here to create. The moment you do that, everything changes. You stop shrinking to fit in. You stop holding back your ideas. You stop waiting for someone else's permission to move forward. And suddenly your confidence, your clarity, and your courage skyrocket. You begin to live on your own terms. You discover that the world respects authenticity far more than it respects compliance. People are drawn to those who are real, who take risks, stand firm in their convictions, not those who bend and shape themselves to fit every opinion around them. And here's the powerful secret most people never realize. The more you stop seeking approval, the more you gain it. Not because you're trying to get it, but because you become magnetic. You become someone who leads, inspires, and acts with integrity. You become someone who creates results, not excuses. You become someone who others want to follow because you've chosen yourself first. So ask yourself, how much of your life have you been living to please others? How many of your choices have been guided by fear of judgment instead of courage to act? How many dreams have stayed hidden because you wanted someone else to say, yes, this is okay. It's time to stop giving away your power. It's time to stop living in the shadow of approval. It's time to take ownership of your life and make it about what you want, what you need, and what you were born to create. Because here's the truth. You will never be free. You will never be fully alive. You will never achieve your true potential as long as your decisions are controlled by someone else's opinion. Approval is a crutch. It's a cage. And the moment you step out of it, your life expands in ways you never thought possible. Stop seeking approval and start creating the life only you can imagine. One of the most powerful things that can hold you back from your full potential is something you can't see, something that's quietly shaping the way you think, decide, act every day. It's a scarcity mindset. A scarcity mindset is the belief that there's never enough. Not enough money, not enough opportunity, not enough time, not enough love, not enough recognition. When you believe there's not enough to go around, everything in your life starts shrinking. Your vision, your confidence, your ambition. The danger of a scarcity mindset is that it limits you without you even realizing it. You start playing small because you think someone else getting ahead means there's less for you. You hesitate, you hold back, you doubt yourself, and you unconsciously sabotage opportunities because deep down, you believe the world is a zero-sum game. That belief is a lie, but it's a lie that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy if you let it take root. Think about it. When you operate from scarcity, every success of someone else feels like a threat. Every opportunity for wealth, every recognition, every win someone else gets makes you feel like you're losing something. And when that happens, instead of collaborating, creating, or expanding, you contract. You focus on what you lack instead of what you can build. You spend energy worrying about what you don't have, and that worry keeps you stuck. But here's the truth: the universe is abundant. Opportunities, ideas, connections, and resources are all around you. There's more than enough for everyone, but only if you believe it. Abundance isn't about getting more than someone else. It's about seeing that life isn't limited, that possibilities are endless, and that when you create, collaborate, and expand, responds. Every act of generosity, every pursuit of growth, every leap of faith in your own potential brings more into your life. The shift from scarcity to abundance is one of the most important changes you can make if you want to succeed. It begins with awareness. Catch yourself the next time your mind says, I don't have enough, or I can't compete, or there's no way for me. Notice that thought, because that's the moment you realize it's a choice, not a truth. Scarcity is a belief, and beliefs can be changed. When you shift into abundance thinking, your behavior changes immediately. Suddenly, you're willing to take risks, invest in yourself, share your knowledge, collaborate with others, see opportunity where before you only saw limitation. Your energy expands, your confidence grows, your ability to create and attract what you want multiplies. Because when you operate from abundance, fear and jealousy no longer dictate your choices. Instead, vision, creativity, and courage guide you. Scarcity also keeps people trapped in competition instead of creation. When you believe there's not enough, you measure your life against everyone else. You chase approval, comparison, validation instead of focusing on your own growth. But the moment you embrace abundance, competition falls away. You realize that your journey is unique, your path is yours to walk, and your success is not limited by anyone else's. You start playing a different game, the game of creation, contribution, and expansion. And here's the most powerful part. Abundance thinking doesn't mean ignoring reality. It doesn't mean pretending there aren't challenges. It doesn't mean acting recklessly. It means shifting your focus from what's missing to what's possible. It means seeing opportunities where others see obstacles. It means understanding that when you create value, take bold action, contribute to the world, more flows back to you in ways you can't even predict. Scarcity thinking also keeps people stuck in fear. Fear of failure, fear of risk, fear of rejection. All of it grows when you believe there's a limited pie. Abundance thinking dissolves that fear because you understand that taking risks, trying new things, and even failing doesn't shrink the world. It enlarges your possibilities. Every effort, every attempt, every bold action adds to your experience, knowledge, and opportunity. The truth is, most people never reach their potential because they're operating from a mindset of lack. They wait, hesitate, and hold back because they don't believe there's enough for them. The moment you stop thinking in terms of scarcity, everything changes. You start seeing opportunities everywhere. You start taking bold action without fear. You start collaborating, learning, growing, giving in ways that expand your life and the lives of everyone around you. So the question is simple. Will you continue to live thinking there's not enough? Or will you choose to see abundance in every moment, in every challenge, in every opportunity? Will you allow fear, lack, and limitation to control your decisions? Or will you embrace a mindset that empowers you to grow, create, and achieve? Because here's the undeniable truth. The world is abundant, opportunities are limitless, and your potential is far greater than you've been told. Scarcity is just a story your mind tells you. Abundance is the reality waiting for you to claim it. Shift your mind from scarcity to abundance. The world opens up in ways you never imagined.